the music has been recognised by Jarvis, Cocker and Stuart Machony.
Yeah, so
what was that like?
That was brilliant, and actually it happened over 2 weekends. So we sent it off to Radio 6. We sent it to a copy to Jarvis. We sent it to a few people. Sent a copy to Jarvis, no plug or anything. We just did it off our own back. Copy to Jarvis and a copy to Stuart Machony. And I think it was Jarvis who played it first, and he said, "I've just been sent this improvised psychedelic album about bicycles. I have to play it, don't I?"
Brilliant.
Wow. And that was amazing. And then Stuart Machony the week after had heard the Jarvis one, really liked it, and played one of our tracks on the Freak Zone.
Wow.
After that. And we had interesting people getting in touch with us after that about, oh, you should do this and do that and stuff like that. Yeah, lots of things that never quite come to fruition. But it was nice, actually. We actually sold a couple hundred copies of an album, which for us was like, completely off our back. And this was the start of the DIY time, really, before it was what it is now.
Yeah.
And then said, we will do some more. We've had a lot more downloads, though. Now, lots of people have downloaded it for Bandcamp, which is great. Yeah. It's great music to work to. It's good background. There's no vocals on it. It all just goes on. So I work to it quite often if I'm having to concentrate on something. But no, it was amazing. I'm a huge fan of Jarvis as well.
Yeah, me too.
I was lucky enough to be at the Glastonbury gig, the 1995 Glastonbury gig, when it was supposed to be the Stone Roses. Everyone was a little bit annoyed, and they came on, and that defining moment when they played Common People, and he just, as a frontman, he just completely owned 150,000 people who weren't expecting him to be there. So he's really stuck in my mind. I've got a lot of most of the Pulp stuff over the years, so that was a real moment to be recognised by someone you really respect. Actually, was I think I had a grin on my face for a week after that.
I bet. Well, Jarvis is great, and some of the songs he's written are just so like Common People. What an anthem! I mean, I love playing that in the Britpop band I'm in. You know, it's such a great happy tune. Do you know what I mean? And it's one of those where, as you're chugging away and the singer's singing to it, we were always like looking around at the other musicians and everybody's smiling and you're just playing it. It's such a feel-good song, you know.
That album, Different Classes, hit after hit after hit, isn't it? It's the real defining. Like Sorted Freeze and Weirds and Disco 2000 and all those songs, which
just amazing.
They come on. They're one of those bands, aren't they? You go, oh, I do know every song.
Yeah.
Like, the other band I find like that, a bit of Shed Seven. They're one of those bands, sort of like, they were always like the needy rans of the indie world. But I guarantee if you get a copy of Shed Seven's greatest hits and stick it on in your car, you'll know every lyric. They're just one of those bands.
I remember going to see Bryan Adams a few years back as well, and it was the NEC in Birmingham. Oh, no, it wasn't Nottingham. Okay. I was just standing there watching, and I thought halfway through the concert, I thought every song he's played is a hit, every single one. His whole set was just filled with hits. What a songwriter! Stunning songwriter. I once met a guy whose dream had been he wanted to write songs for people like Bon Jovi and stuff like that. And we were talking to one of the music managers we used to work with, and he sort of come up with this idea, and this guy just went, "What, as if John Bon Jovi needs songs?" Maybe somewhere else, maybe. Absolutely.
But yeah, absolutely. I love those artists where you might dismiss them at some point, and but then you find yourself singing along and go. I think you have to embrace the inner pop, personally. I really do. You can sort of try and be a little bit too moody and music snobby. Oh no, I don't like that, I've got Christina Perri Jar of Hearts on my running playlist. Do you know what I mean? Because I just like, I can get into that. I can sing along. I'm not ashamed to love a bit of pop.
Yeah, well, I love all sorts of music, even as far as Carpenters. I love the Carpenters.
Brilliant songs.
Great songwriting. It's not very rock and roll, but I just love all sorts of music. And I'm getting quite a bit into Brian Eno at the minute and Roger Eno. That ambient sort of stuff as well. So I do like other stuff, and I'm trying to get into things that I've not really listened to, things like Buckethead and stuff like that. Or that really fast guitar, and I've never shown it much interest. So I've done. So look, I'm gonna do that. And I've got Chris, a drummer I know. He's a huge Slipknot fan, and I've told him when lockdown's over, we're going to see Slipknot. We're going to see him.
I quite like a bit. I'm I'm a bit of a metal fan, and I was, because I had that early sort of that new wave of British heavy metal. My first gig was Iron Maiden at the Birmingham Odeon, you know? So I remember going to that when I was like 15, 16, which was amazing. And then sort of indie phase got out of it. But while we were doing the Clatter stuff, I ended up playing for another band called Bulletproof Electric Review down in Coventry. We headlined the Godiva Festival. You know, good time with them. And they were sort of like a stoner rock, sort of Sabbath influenced stoner rock band. So I love all that stoner rock sort of vibe. I love Red Fang and bands like that, and the Queens of the Stone Age type of metal. But I also like the really heavy stuff as well occasionally. Every now and again, Goat Snake and a band like that, I just like, yeah, actually sometimes you just need something clean and loud and heavy. I love that sort of sound. That sort of, yeah, how obscene can you make a guitar sound? I love that.
Yeah. Well, on to gear and effects and things like that. I mean, you've from the music I've listened to, obviously there's lots of short delays and a lot of the Harry Jordan stuff, but what sort of effects do you like using, and talk us through your rig, your guitars and stuff like that, if you don't mind.
I've actually got my effects board down there as well, but it's one, I'll show you my effects board very briefly, because it's one of those, it's a lockdown effects board in the fact that it's never finished. So
oh, right. We're kind of all like that, really, aren't we?
Yeah, I'll try and pick it up at the moment. So
wow,
yeah. So, but I won't talk you through all the bits of it.
No, so that's a G3, is it, or G2, is it? No,
it's the Boss, the ESO.
The Boss one.
You can get those really reasonably now, which is why I picked one up second hand. Yeah, so delay obviously for the Harry Jordan stuff, and I've been on a mission in the last year for delays actually, and I've had 3 or 4. I've had the Boss DD200. In the past, I've had both of the Line 6 ones. I had the big green DL4, which was a classic of that, but that was one of the ones that got stolen at a gig. I lost all my whole pedal board during the Clatter days at a gig. And then I had the little Boss, the smaller version of that they did. Not Boss, sorry, the Line 6 smaller version. And then didn't really use delay for very much. Never been a massive fan until I suddenly realised I needed some for this. I've got more into it. Actually, I've got the Carbon Copy Mxr. This is the second one I've bought. I bought it and then decided I need something more, and I've had like the Boss DM2, Wazacraft 1, and 3 or 4 since, and then just got back to the point where actually I really like that one. It's just a bog standard. It's really nice because it's one that you can use and hardly know it's there, but then you turn it off and go, okay, I know it's there. And I love that about that pedal. So not a massive delay pedal. So yeah, do use a lot of delay. I guess my main tone for sort of that crunchy overdrive stuff, I use the Thorpy Heavy Water. I'm a massive fan of Thorpy stuff. I was counting the other day, I've got 8 Thorpy pedals.
Really? What have you got? What sort of stuff you got?
I've got the first one I bought was the Warthog. So that's from the Guitar Show a couple of years ago. Well, it would have been, well, last year's happened, didn't it? I was at that one. So the year before that, at Bingley Hall in Birmingham, I went and spoke to Adrian, and I was after something sort of tweed-like. And I said, but I also wanted to do this and this and this. And I was talking to Adrian, and he goes, well, the Warthog will do everything, and it will literally do everything. It's just an amazing pedal. And that started me off. I've got the compressor, Fat General compressor.
Wow.
I've got one that he doesn't make anymore, which is amazing, the Chain Home Tremolo. I don't know if you've heard that.
No, I haven't.
It's based on an old Vox repeater, and it's a really sharp square wave type of tremolo, which I love. It's the sort of effect you write a song around. That sort of vibe. I've got the Veteran, which is the Fuzz Face and the range mastering one. But the ones on my board is the Chain Home Tremolo, the Heavy Water, and my favourite fuzz pedal at the moment, which is the Field Marshal, which is the most fun fuzz pedal I've ever played. I can lose hours in the Field Marshal. It's great, but I've also got the Fallout Cloud that he's done as well. Which is a great one.
Adrian's stuff is fantastic, isn't it?
And obviously the T-Medic, which is the one you never talk about. I know you've got a T-Medic as well.
I love it. I know I've mentioned it a few times, but I absolutely love it.
Great pedal though for just EQ and everything.
It is. I've got to get myself some more Thorpy. ThorpyFx. The T-Medic's the first one. But there's a few other things I want to get first before I've got to get some switches and things like that. That's
what I really liked is what I loved about them when I first played them was it's not so much the sound. I mean, the sound is incredible. I like it. The pedal to me has to feel right to play. It's the finger feel of a pedal, and all of the Thorpy stuff just feels very real and very there and very immediate. And actually, that's great. So I do really like it. I do like a lot of the current British builders. I've got a Hudson broadcast on there as well, which I really like as well. So the Thorpy Heavy Water is probably the main sort of slightly crunch. The broadcast, the one channel on the broadcast will bring on a little bit more, and then a little bit more from the other side of the broadcast. There was one of the Tate FX Antares pedals on there as well, which is the best. That's the best tube screamer I think I've ever played. But I'm not an all the time tube screamer person. I sometimes want it when I'm recording, but I realise on the board I don't use it that much. But it's there for me to use. Anyone that I ever use recording, I use that. I've had loads of tube screamers. I've got 3 different tube screamers at the moment anyway.
I need to get myself a Tate effect. You know, I mean, it's
brilliant.
Stuart, I mean, he's in the group and he's been very helpful to some people, sort of asking things for DIYs and, you know, or wiring and stuff like that. You know, he's a very knowledgeable guy, and you know, I don't have a Tate effect. I need to get one, so I need to get some more Thorpy. I need to get a Tate effect. I need to get some wedges.
I bought one of the lockdown fuzzies he did as well, which is great. That's great fun as well. I've got to do some music for one of my friend's films, and he doesn't want any music. He wants lots of really crazy fuzz type noises. Yeah, and that lockdown fuzz is just perfect for that. Yeah. So that I use those a lot. I use Keeley Monteray is quite an important pedal.
Oh yes, yeah.
So which is a vibe and wah and rotary.
That's right.
And a fuzz face as well. I don't really use the fuzz face a lot. I always like to know that there's a 4th fuzz on my board if I need it, because you can't have too much, can you? So I've got an octave fuzz on there as well, the Dusky Electronics Augustus as well, which I use a little bit. So I really like that sort of having all those 3, although I tend to use the vibe. I use it as my vibe pedal. I like vibe. I'm not a modulation person, I have to say. Never used it loads, but I do like the sound of a rotor vibe. I do love playing with that. And I've got the True Spring Source Audio True Spring reverb pedal, which is phenomenal. Absolutely blown away by that. And that's also, I've got the little switcher with that. So if I click the little switcher, it's a harmonic tremolo as well. Wow. So I've actually, I've cut it down a little bit, because you do that thing with a pedal board, don't you? Okay, there's a space there, I must fit a pedal on. Whereas I'm now starting to think, actually, what do I actually need and use? And I'm trying to build up a board for when we get back for that.
Oh, do you know, I find it, I mean, I've got that board now, but I'm thinking now is going like 2 smaller boards. So I'm thinking of having like a preamp board for the front, and then a modulation board from the effects loop. If somebody said to me, okay, well, what are you going to take off? I'm like, I can't take any of them off. You know, I've got 2 wonderful tremolos. I can't have a board with 2 tremolos on it.
I've got a board with 2 tremolos on it.
Well, yeah, I suppose a good. But it's like, how do I choose? I find it so difficult to say. Well, actually, that one's gonna go off.
You have to have a board for what you use it for, I think. And I'm building the board very much for coming back with Harry Jordan, but throughout lockdown it's been my board for recording stuff. So actually there was a point when it had 7 fuzz pedals on it, so I was doing lots of comparisons of fuzz pedals for a friend of mine, and I think you sort of got to build it around that. I've tried to slim it down as well, because I don't want to carry massive loads of gear anymore. I find
it's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And also my amp I was using before, you can probably see it down in the corner there, is that's an old Fender Concert down there, which is from like 1979, 1980, the last of the point-to-point wide Fender amps that they did. And it's brilliant. It sounds beautiful. It's really unreliable for gigging. It weighs an absolute ton. And I gig in a lot of places like the Sunflower Lounge in Birmingham. I don't know if you know. You've got to get a load of stairs, which is fine. But then at the end of the night, you've got to get up a load of stairs and probably get it to your car, which is parked, past the Chinese pagoda place up the hill somewhere else by a fair deal. So I got fed up with lumping the gear. So I bought a Roland Blues Cube as my main amp, which is based on the Fender Bassman, which is a solid state amp, and I absolutely love it. It's phenomenal sound, and it's you pick it up with one hand, and it's like, so now I am nearly 50. That's now important, because the audience aren't going to know the difference between me playing my Fender concert, which the guitar nerds are going to be all sitting there, scratching their chins, going, "Oh, he's playing through a solid state amp," but it sounds brilliant, It sounds really, and also it's got a half watt setting, so I can play in the house, which is phenomenal.
Nice. Well, I always joke. I had a 4x12. I had an orange 4x12 in my 20s. In my 30s and 40s, I've had a 2x12, and I've got two 2x12s now. But I'll probably go a couple of years. I'll probably just have a little 1x12 cab, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It gets freaking heavy, doesn't it?
Yeah. The other guitarist in the band's got a little Blues Junior, and it just sounds ace. And also, I can't play. There's no concerts I do the sort of size that we're doing, apart from the festival stuff, where I can drive that concert at a level that's worthwhile. Whereas Attenuator built into the Blues Cube, actually, it's a go anywhere. And actually, if you really stuck with the Blues Cube, do a line out the back, and it sounds phenomenal.
Yeah,
straight out, direct into the PA. You'll hardly notice the difference. They're really clever.
Yeah, I bought an Attenuator because the band was sort of like complaining that sort of too loud and stuff. But there's something.
Those oranges are massive, though, aren't they? They're really big sound.
The thing is, though, there's just something about. It's not like you want to just be loud and be heard over it. It's not like a vanity thing. It is purely when it's cranked. There's an interaction, isn't it? It's not just even the sound; it's the feel. It's the air movement that hits you on the chest. Everything. It's a feeling, isn't it?
Well, when I told you briefly about Bulletproof Electric Review, the Stone Rock band, and I worked with one of them. He said, "You need to come along and play for us. Our guitarist has gone, and I think you'd really like it." I said, "That's great. I'll bring my amp and all stuff." Because no, don't bring an amp. So no, it's fine. I've got this really nice old Fender console. I was really proud of it. He says, "No, it's fine. Don't worry." I turned up at the rehearsal, and they had an original 1964 JTM 45 head.
Wow.
With a double stack 4x12s underneath it. It was a 7. And they said, "We've got another one of these as well." So when we did the Godiva Festival, I had one on either side of the stage in stereo, a 64 and a 65, and it's the best sound I've ever heard in my life. That driving, sort of doing that sort of stoner rock type of stuff was just unbelievable. But I'm not carrying that stuff around. Yeah. I've got so many cars over the years which have got dents in the back. We've been trying to get like 4x12s into the boots. It's a nightmare.
Absolutely.
Yeah.